I don't see Judy, but she said that I had an email notification that she had joined earlier, so let me just check with her. Oh, there she is. Hello, everybody. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. Okay, see, it worked this time. I didn't do anything different. Exact same thing. Okay. We can go ahead and get started and call the meeting to order at 7:01. Roll call and seating of alternates. We'll start with me, Christina Davis, I'm present. Pam Summers.
Here.
Keith Lipker.
Here.
Judy Austin.
Here.
Paul Varga.
Here.
Angie DeSanto is not here. Hugh McKenzie, not here. Tim Rhodes, not here. Holly Love, not here. We don't have any alternates, so we don't have to seat anybody. Communications, two things. One, I went to the public hearing for Region 19. Both myself and Catherine Silversmith were there, representing Ashford. There were only two other people in addition to the Region 19 board, so it was not well attended. I'm sorry. Yeah, and then the other people, there were a couple of people on Zoom, but they were board members. So it was not terribly well attended. Hi, Catherine. We did have the opportunity to speak. Both Catherine and I spoke and kind of gave the lay of the land in terms of what Ashford is facing with its budget this year. And, you know, I do think that that was appreciated by the Region 19 board hearing directly from us. From what I understand, and Catherine, maybe you can back this up, there was no change to the number.
I stayed a bit longer than you. There was a short conversation about I remember they had asked, what was the impact be if they brought us up to 9.9%?
Mhm.
And so I got more information on what that would impact on their end. No, I don't know what their final answer was because they were then going into their own decision-making session.
Okay, well, I contacted Tim, is it Tim Rourke? Is that his name?
He's one of our reps.
Right, so I contacted him and I asked him, did the number change? And he said, no, it did
No,
not.
I'm assuming it didn't, but
Right.
there was, I really wish that they had spoken more about what that $13,000 for Ashford would have, what the impact was. It was 13,000 for our town, and then monies from other towns as
Right.
well. But what it did was it eliminated curriculum assistants. Couple of them.
Well, they're paraprofessionals, 3 paraprofessionals.
They were curriculum assistants.
Yeah.
So that was, that's one where they actually went so far as to say that one actually really hurt beyond the other ones, so that they'd already done.
Yeah, so they went through, you know, they've done the same process of like, here's what the superintendent asked for, here's what presented.
My suggestion to them would be, and I have already talked to the Wellington representative, is that the person presenting not give out something we couldn't read.
Yeah. it's really-
And also not to use that blue background. They could use a white background with blue streaks, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was not readable by the people who were there. And there were only 3 of us as guests, unfortunately.
But I just think the headline to understand, so that everybody understands that they are doing the same level of cutting, I would say, as we're seeing at the town level and at the school level, at the Ashford school level,
Right.
you know, pulling back, you know, what band person from 0.8 to 0.6 and reducing book supplies and then the staffing is 3 staff members.
Right.
So
So I thank,
similarly painful on all fronts, I think.
yeah, and I thank them for their efforts because they really went to town on what they had. So they're feeling pain as well.
So that's the main communication. Just the important thing is that the number that we have, the 4,163,113 has not changed to my knowledge.
Right.
The other communication was actually from Paul. I just thought I would quickly share this, if I can find it.
I can try to dig it out too if you want, Christina.
So Paul did a little homework on the municipal cannabis tax. there's a background
Oh,
sheet that
yeah, I
the
have
state
that
has.
too.
And I just think, what the big thing is, if it's medicinal cannabis, the town doesn't benefit, right? Is that
Correct,
right?
that is correct.
And if it's recreational, that's where that 3% comes in. So do we know, Catherine, if, is that facility?
The ribbon
Full?
cutting, the ribbon cutting is the 4th, I think.
Right, but are they selling both recreational and
Yes, they
medicinal?
were always intending to do that.
Oh, okay, I just didn't know.
And that's what all of their other locations do. I would
Okay.
expect, I suspect that we will have more sales in recreational than medicinal. but
Yeah, no,
That's just me,
probably.
having seen some of the comments from the public.
And then the other, I think, key thing to just be aware of is that the tax revenue to the town must be used for any of the following purposes. So it's streetscape improvements, education programs or youth employment, services for individuals living in the municipality who are released from DOC custody, mental health or addiction services, youth service bureaus, community civic engagement efforts. So there are some parameters. We can't just take the money and spend it on whatever we want.
Right.
Just something to be aware of and keep in mind. Anything else on that, Paul?
No, it was just to bring to light that, you know, yes, we hear that it's tax revenue and that's great, but there are some pretty severe restrictions to its use.
Well, it will help our social services.
Right,
Um,
but even there, there's still restrictions within that time, that framework.
That's it for communications. The next item on the agenda is approve the minutes of the March 20th, 2025 meeting. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
How about, we'll have Judy second. Any discussion, any edits? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Would anybody like to make a public comment? In person? No? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, I think we can move on. Under new business, the first item is select woman's update. Catherine, did you want to share anything?
I will provide you with more details later. Two things. One, DPW, we've had a number of repairs, replacement of a transmission in a truck, number of repairs, let me think. Six. Adding up to about $17,000, that were kind of unexpected. And I will provide more details at our next meeting. The other thing is the governor has let us know that the federal administration has now cut health and human services monies. And I do serve on the board of Eastern Highlands, and I am aware of some state grants that have been pulled back that will affect their services, which is unfortunate. In addition, Eastern Highlands has applied for a tobacco grant, is the monies from the tobacco recovery, if you will, to have a program that tries to prevent tobacco use by minors. And our representative there will be our Youth and Social Services Director. But I wrote a letter in support of that grant, and hopefully we will get it.
Good.
Okay.
There also, I don't know if any of you have been watching, but the bill to change and restrict recreation departments in terms of who can work with the kids and with the background checks, how the background checks will be done and who will have to do them. That bill is still alive, so we're monitoring that, and that is the same bill, people may not have noticed, that the MVA car tax, vehicle tax bill was in, it was all lumped together.
Hmm,
I anticipate, in addition, in that bill was a restriction for our veterans on their tax abatements if they were not 100% disabled. I mean, they made the criteria much more stringent, and I will provide you information on that. Just worked with that yesterday, and I will be writing a letter tonight on that one, but actually, it's already passed, it's already gone into law, and as a result, at least 2 of our veterans in town will not get the abatement. And I know that at least one of them is paid at 100% disability and but is listed in a particular category, if you will, at 80% disability, therefore he will lose that. There will be a meeting, legislative update meeting with Senator Gordon and Pat Boyd next Tuesday, is it? Over at Knowlton.
Tuesday or the second,
It's the
right?
second, I keep
It'd
thinking
be
that's Tuesday. Wednesday.
Yeah.
I encourage people to go. I do know that in all likelihood, a number of our veterans will go. I'll be there. I'm not too happy about it. Both Senator Gordon and Pat Boyd voted in favor of this bill. So I'm
Hmm,
not happy.
Yeah, I think with that is there like an appeal process?
I don't know what the appeals, they've already made it legislation, so I don't
No,
know. what the
but
appeals
within
process is.
not to appeal,
They can't appeal through.
that they can't,
No.
so.
No, you have to go by what the law is, and that's what they put in place. So when I was talking last week and I said it pays to, pay attention to what's going on legislatively, we need everybody to be doing that. I've already talked with one of the veterans multiple times this past week. Who's come in, shared the information and talked with our assessor. And if I understand correctly, they originally they were going to continue to have the tax abatement, and what happened was it was looked at in light of other things and the amount of revenue that they would get from these veterans. At first, I think they miscalculated how many veterans would be affected. And they said it was 1,200, and in reality, it's more like 35,000. So when it comes to the revenue, and I almost want to say, don't quote me, but this is what I've heard. And I heard it from the veteran who's been doing the research. That is probably why they made the change that they did. Because they could not, all that revenue, so in essence, they're taking it from the veterans.
mhm.
That's a state statute, correct?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Bill 7067. And which is the same one that the MBA was in. Our focus, it's interesting, our focus was on the MBA piece, not on the rest of it.
They do that all.
And that's where you have to remember, they lump things, disproportionate things together. That was also something about hospitals.
Okay, thank you for the update, Catherine. The next item, the link is incorrect. It incorrectly links to the Board of Ed budget. So I'll call the document up on the screen. I just wanted to share this document. This is what you received, the board received at the last meeting, this revenue document. But when we discussed it, I'd asked, is this, because so we got our original revenue estimate. Then when the budget came back around, it was stated that it had been revised upwards by $60,000.
Yes,
And then this version has been, is revised up by closer to $100,000.
due to additional information that Sherry was
Right.
able to get.
Right.
Good.
And so I just want everybody to know that that's what the final number that we have right now is a revenue estimate that's been increased by, let me give you the exact number. Hold on. Okay, so from the original revenue budget to the one that we have today, that's going to the public hearing, the revenue has been increased by $108,722. So, and you can see here what numbers have gone up. I should be able to kind of just go through it real quick. The, telephone access grant has been revised up by about $33,000. And Sherry said that's because it's coming in higher than expected this year, so the assumption is it'll come in higher next year. There's some revisions here in the tax collector section in terms of prior year levy interest in liens and motor vehicle supplemental. Interest in investments increase. Big ones. Yeah, okay, so that's just want everybody to know what the numbers were. And then if we go to the next item on the agenda is the updated mill rate calculation on my very cheap paper. Do you have one, Kathleen? No?
Well, it's right there.
Oh, thanks.
So this document has that as the correct revenue number, which you can see on the screen, 4,177,954. We just break it out between ECF grant and then other revenue, basically. The numbers under general government, Ashford School, Region 19, those are all the numbers that were discussed and approved at the last meeting. Minus Region 19, we didn't approve, but that's where they have landed. So the new mill rate is down at the bottom, 3.377, which is approximately a 2.013 mil increase. So that's where we've landed. So slightly lower because of the revenue number going up. And these numbers on the document, I had Sherry Susie, the business manager at the school. I don't know, other people too, double check everything. Oh, the assessor. Had everybody double check things. So this is everybody has said this is these are the correct numbers. So that's what we're going. Any questions about the mill rate at the moment?
I have a suggestion, when this does get published,
Mhm.
you know, whatever is published, is if you could, it might be good for the public to be able to see right on this. If you were to pull up the space, you know, the extra space here is between expenditures and general government. Pull it up and down at the bottom, have a box that said, basically, a house value, you know, valued at whatever, $100,000. Do that example down there so they could see what the increase would be. This is part of the communication of this.
Yeah, this will be included in the packet with the letter.
It used to be on the website. Is it not on the website?
If that's fine, it's on the website, not everybody goes to the
Well, I
website.
know,
This is
but-
to make sure that they have access to it.
What
And
used-
yes, it will
What
be.
used to be on the,
That's
It's a
the calculator. That'll tell you what.
that has not happened since Cheryl Baker left. I think that was something
No
that she
kidding.
did, yeah. I don't know that anybody knows how to do
All
that
right,
now.
we will look at that.
No, I think I did it.
Oh, did you? Okay. But
Yeah, I
think
had-
that Cheryl was leaving. I think she was still here that year. That was the reval year.
Right.
Yeah, and then I had somebody else, who did I have help me? They just took it and changed the formula. Um,
Oh, okay.
let me
Yeah.
think about who helped.
Okay, let me know.
Did you talk to Sherry Susie about that?
I did it.
Okay. We'll follow it.
Okay, so that's that. Discussion and possible action regarding the public notice for the April 8th hearing. So. The public hearing is Tuesday, April 8th at 7 PM. It was suggested that we have it at Milton Hall. Also, I'm suggesting that we do it 100% in person, that we don't do it hybrid. So what are people's thoughts on that? And so, and just so everybody knows, so we have a public hearing, and then immediately following that hearing, we have a Board of Finance meeting. To consider the public feedback. So we do need people to be here to have a forum. So if that's an issue, let me know.
That's an issue.
Oh, yeah, you're not gonna be here April 8th?
I'm not gonna confirm or deny that, I'm just gonna say it's an issue.
Okay.
Okay. I
I
definitely.
might be running late.
Well, I mean, running late, if you're not here for the public hearing, I think that would be fine, or at least the start of the public
Yeah,
hearing.
so that,
It's the meeting itself.
the meeting part
follows.
won't be a problem, it's just that if you only have a in-person public hearing and people can't be in attendance at the public hearing, then I feel like it'd be kind of weird if I came to the meeting and then said, well, I didn't hear any public hearing, so here's my thought. You know, does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think, well, I guess the other possibility is we could put you on speakerphone. As a member, we could just.
So, yeah, I'm sure that, you know, if I can't be there in person, if somebody else can be there, even my wife or my son or something, I mean, I think that it's hard to have feedback from the public if they can't listen to it.
Right,
Well, we know how crowded this room was last week.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. I
It's
mean,
gonna be more crowded, I believe, for the public hearing. I would hope that it is, because people showing an interest. Certainly when they hear what the mill rate, is the mill rate that's proposed, they're gonna wanna have an interest. And I suspect you're gonna have quite a few people supporting the school. So, we know how hot it got in here,
well,
and
it's already scheduled for normal, according to this.
this is just a draft,
Oh, okay.
we're gonna approve
Yeah.
it, so. I can change
Well,
that.
I think it should be a no hall, it's not a question.
Mhm.
I would honestly prefer in person, it just doesn't always work.
But would you be okay if we put you on speakerphone?
Yeah.
Then you could hear it, yeah. My only, cause I mean, we could theoretically do hybrid, but if we're in a different space, we don't have the
Yeah,
tech
we
set
have-
up. And I'm also concerned if we do have any technical glitches,
Yeah.
I don't wanna screw up the budget process because Zoom
Because
decided
Zoom
to
doesn't-
not work or.
That's fine. Okay. That makes sense.
and you couldn't do hybrid over there.
Yeah, there's no.
It's not set up for
it's not
hybrid.
set up. We don't
Right.
have anything set up there.
I did think through, cause I really like being able to share the screen, which we couldn't do over there either. But what I'm thinking of doing is putting all the budget materials online and then having a QR code. And people can, scan the
Do we-
QR code and pull it up on their phone.
Do we have access to a screen? Over there?
I don't know, it's just, I mean, the logistics.
It's actually not that hard.
All right.
Are you volunteering to set it up? Cause I.
You won't be there.
Yeah.
The
But if you
expectation,
do it.
Can't volunteer myself if I can't,
We'll
don't even know if I can be there.
We'll have print copies available,
the
and then if we
expectation,
have a QR code, anybody who has a phone, which is everybody,
Yeah.
can call up all the materials on their phone. So that's the best compromise.
I was
can
just gonna
come
say,
up
if you
with.
have access to a screen, I can get you a projector.
They
To
do
put
have
it
a
up with.
screen.
Right, so Shantae's saying there's a screen,
There
but yeah,
is
so,
one.
so we're gonna get a projector, we gotta get a projector
I
that works with
can-
my laptop.
Do you have an
We gotta
HDMI?
get Wi-Fi, make sure it works.
Do you have an HDMI port in your laptop?
I don't know, Rick, do I? I think so,
If you don't,
that's that one, right?
yes. So there should be Wi-Fi in that library.
There is.
There's an
Yeah.
expectation, that there would be printed copies
Right,
of this,
Right, 100%.
plenty of them
Yeah.
there.
So where do you have a projector
I have
somewhere?
access to it.
So
If
do
you
I,
can get it
with
to
the
me
senior center.
before April 8th,
Yeah, that's easy. That part's easy.
Yeah.
That's the easy part.
if you can do that, then I can bring it and set it up. I just,
I'll need 3 forms of identification, 7.
collateral. Okay, so, all right, that sounds fine. So it sounds like we're good with Knowlton Hall, having it in person. We'll phone people in if they can't be there, board members,
At 7,
at 7. Yeah, and with the meeting of the Board of Finance immediately to follow. Once we approve this notice, I will send it to the Chronicle, which they said, I got confirmation this week that if we send it by 8:30 tomorrow morning, we'll have it to them in plenty of time
Good.
for all the deadlines that we have.
Do you need a motion for this, Christina?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I move that we set the public hearing as discussed for Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 7 PM in Knowlton Hall.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
And with this, you are approving what's been written
Great.
there. Normally you do that after you finalize the budget. Normally that step is done after you have made a decision on the budget that you're going to be presenting. And then
Right, we did that. We did that at the last
you
meeting.
voted and this is the budget?
Last week.
Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't think you voted last
Oh,
week.
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
we did.
No, yeah,
Most definitely.
100%.
I would put that on the page. I would have forgotten that on the agenda. You did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will we come back here for the Board of Finance meeting?
No, they
No.
usually do it right there.
You do it right there and then the public can
And they
see you
stay.
do it.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if they're gonna stay.
But they,
Some
some
will.
do, some don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, some will.
okay.
Okay, any other discussion on approving the notice? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. That's with that. Then just agenda items for the next meeting, let's see, so I guess we don't need a meeting on April 3rd.
Unless something comes up, right?
Just wanna look at the budget calendar real quick, to make sure I'm not missing any steps. Yeah, we don't have anything we need to do on April 3rd, so we won't have a
nice.
meeting next week. But we will have the public hearing on April 8th, followed by a meeting of the
Okay.
Board of Finance. In between now and Wednesday, I will send, like I said, the notice to the Chronicle for the public hearing, and I will also compile the packet, my parts or our parts, the board's parts of the packet for the public hearing. And I've talked to Sherry Susie about that, making sure we get all the pieces that we need. And then once I have that drafted, I will distribute that, and send that to you, Catherine, and Chris Abacoff, so you guys can take a look at it and make sure we're not missing anything.
Also, I took the, the descriptions that I wrote for the
Mhm.
capital improvement plan.
Yeah.
Made a small change that made it more appropriate to put into the packet
Okay.
as opposed to when it was presented to you. Small.
If you
no
can
numbers
send that to
changed.
me.
Yes, I will send that to you. I'll send it to you tonight.
Okay.
I'll send it in Word, so if you need to do anything special with it, you can do that.
Okay. So yeah, so we'll get that all set so that we can have copies available at Town Hall on Wednesday, April 2nd, which is the deadline according to our calendar and our public notice. And then, of course, we'll get them on the website as well. So I think that's it for agenda items and process steps, remarks for the good of the board. And thank you, everybody, for coming this evening and getting through these last little bits before we have the public hearing. And with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Bye.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
That was short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Have a good night.
I do.
Night, ladies.
Bye.